And so I think when you're in that space of trying to prove to yourself, you tend to overwork. Right, you tend to start to let things slide, like your personal care, your personal
Mhm,
well-being, even your family, even like work becomes the identity. And so I found
mhm.
myself in a season of that. In particular, 2022, I worked just day in, day out, put in too many hours into the job and not enough into myself or my family.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery Podcast, where we explore the intersections of motherhood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, and in each episode, we're diving into mindset, emotional regulation, and the real stories of mom entrepreneurs navigating both business and family life. Let's get into it. Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode on Mindset Mastery with yours truly, Julissa Edwards. In this episode, I have the pleasure of interviewing Tetonia. Tetonia Blossom is the founder of Regarding Your Mindful Care. Tetonia is a certified mindfulness facilitator, corporate wellness expert, and passionate advocate for self care and stress resilience. After overcoming burnout herself while working as a regional issue manager in finance, Titania found healing through mindfulness, and has since dedicated her life to helping others cultivate inner peace and balance. Through her brand, she offers guided meditations, journaling workshops, and affirmations, empowering individuals to live with intention and self compassion. This was a really grounding episode, as you can imagine, speaking to a mindfulness expert and just hearing about her experiences going from burnout to building a business of her dreams that is so fulfilling, so soulfully purpose and energizing. And I say that because in this episode, I think it's really great for anyone who is thinking about running a business on the side while still maintaining their 9 to 5 and is also a mother or a mother to be. This is a great episode to tap into. She lets us in on how she manages it all, what parts are not perfect, and how she is finding more energy because she is fulfilling her dreams. So it's a beautiful episode. Definitely tap into this one. And yes, I hope you enjoy. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. How are you feeling? And what do you hope to get into today?
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I'm feeling good. Like I'm so excited to talk with you, and I would say the theme that you have going on this season is so close to my heart. As a mom, and I feel like that's the individuals that my brand has been speaking to for since myself. I was the first customer, so.
Yes, yeah, we can talk a lot about that too, being the first customer, and that's kind of how maybe the passion behind why we do what we do. Yeah, so remind us, how old are your children?
So I have one daughter. She is 5.5.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we love little girls. I have a little girl myself and I have a son too, but for me, the experience has been vastly different. And I think every kid is different, but my little girl is sassy, 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 and she has so much personality and all the things, and it's absolutely beautiful and a lot of mirror work and so much growth and things of that sort. So we love that. Yeah. Okay, girly. So let's see here. So you're the founder of Regarding Your Mindful Care and a certified mindfulness facilitator. Can you tell us a little bit more about your personal journey from burning out in the finance world to now doing this? Um, why, how you got into it, why you're so passionate about advocating for mindfulness? How did that come about?
Yeah, so yes, I work in the financial industry. I happen to be in problem management. So it's naturally like I would call it like high stress area where people do often burn out just out of the speed and just the compression that happens in your work. So I actually run a regional program. So it was a pretty big job. I had a year where Honestly, I think I was trying to prove, to myself, like, I can handle this. I can handle this whole region of things. And so I think when you're in that space of trying to prove to yourself, you tend to overwork. Right? You tend to start to let things slide, like your personal care, your personal well
Mm,
being, even, your family, even like work becomes the identity. And so I found
mm,
myself in a season of that, in particular, 2022. I worked just day in, day out, put in too many hours into the job and not enough into myself or my family. And so by the end of it, it was great. I won lots of awards and had lots of accolades, and people were thanking me for all the work that I had done. But there was something going on with me. Like I couldn't understand why I was tired, why I was sad, why I just had no energy to go on. And I felt like I really needed a break. And so as I started researching what was going on with me, I realized these were the signs of burnout. Like I know I had heard the word burnout, but when you experience it in your life, and honestly, by the time you actually notice it and see it, it's probably too far. There were like earlier
mm.
signs that I probably could have been, yeah, I'm not doing something right. But I kept putting it off, like I'll do it later. I'll do it later. So I entered into 2023 actively in burnout, trying to figure out how to help myself. And through that research, I found that some of the things that were helping me, like daily positive affirmations, in breath work, those things were properties of mindfulness. I actually didn't even know about mindfulness. Until I was on that journey of trying to fix myself. And the more that I learned, the more that I wanted to know. And then it was like, hey, I learned something amazing. I'm feeling better. I think I'm on a path to getting better. I need to share this with other people because I know lots of people in the working world, especially moms. Every mom that I talk to in the working world is like, I am overwhelmed with my life and I don't
Stretched
know
too
what to do.
thin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, beautiful. So, okay, so your own personal journey of just being burnt out and just doing too much, and that's so common in our day and age, right? Like our job does become our identity, and depending on where you work and the environment, sometimes it can be really toxic for lack of better words, right? Expectations are too high, and maybe the individual themselves also maybe aren't advocating, or this is just seen as the norm, and et cetera, you fill in the blank. But that is very true. And also the extra layer of also being a mother, trying to juggle a family, all of that jazz is too much sometimes. And so then you went into this other field of being a mindfulness expert and teaching others how to do the same, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I got to the point where my like personal study, I thought, okay, I think I'm ready to like learn more and delve into this. I also had never meditated. I actually like meditation didn't seem approachable to me. I was like, how do you do this? I don't know if I can sit still. I don't know if I really want to sit with my own mind. So I tried it out. I started, what was it? Meditation based stress reduction, which is MBSR. And that was for myself. That's when you personally want to really gain all of the tools of mindfulness for yourself. And so I did that process, and through it, I think probably in the middle of that, my actual work came to me and said, hey, we're starting, mindfulness employee resource network. Would you like to be one of the leaders? And I thought, oh, that's great. But I only know mindfulness on a personal level. I don't know it on a professional level. So once I finished my MBSR, I actually continued the study to become a certified workplace mindfulness facilitator. And that
Mm,
basically just teaches you how to bring mindfulness into the workplace in a very conscious space, because mindfulness is adapted from Buddhism. It can have a lot of misconceptions for individuals. Some people even consider it to be appropriation. So it requires that level of training and education and how you can approach the subject for people to realize that this is non-denominational. While it was adapted, it's not rooted in any religion, and it's also not contradictory to any other religions. So that part was very much necessary because I wanted to bring mindfulness to the workspace in a very intentional way that didn't offend anyone. And there are also like words that are not allowed to be used in a corporate environment, like meditation. We say mindfulness practice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so there's so many like intricate things of bringing mindfulness into a corporate space where we're being mindful, we're being intentional about word choices, exercises that we do. Mindfulness is more, personal and relaxed in some of the practices, and there are certain words and themes that you don't want to bring into the office.
Mm. That is good to, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that happening. There's been definitely times where, yeah, you go into certain atmospheres, and for some people from different religious backgrounds, it feels like it's not right, like they shouldn't be doing something like this. Yeah. So can you explain more on that? Like, what is the approach or the education that you provide to help individuals see that this is not contradicting any religion, and it's really just a practice for the human being themselves?
Yes, so, and it's actually I think it's very much rooted, like, in our name, like, I wanted to take the properties of mindfulness, but I wanted individuals to realize, like, for me, my journey, mindfulness is my way of settling, into the present moment, and accepting things as they are, but very much regarding you mindful care, is sort of a blend of it's also self-reflection. So my practice and my teachings are always to we take the traditional mindfulness practices, like we'll start with an awareness of breath, but we always transition into self-reflection, checking in with oneself, asking yourself, what is it that you need? What is it that you're feeling? And being okay with what you find. I think that's the biggest part of the mindfulness is it's noticing what's there, and accepting it, like not judging it or trying to change it or telling yourself you're wrong. Sometimes we're tired and we just need to accept the fact that we're tired, right? Instead of like, keep pushing.
Mm, mhm,
So that's where regarding the mindful care is a little different. And I really wanted it to be a focus and a practice about ourselves, especially for working moms. Like we don't take enough time. Like we are the engineers of lives and experiences and taking care of individuals. And even at work, we tend to take on those roles as well of I got to get everything done. I got to keep this program running. Um, my practice is always, stop. Have you seen outside today? Have you touched air? I ask people that all the time. Have you touched air today? When
mhm,
was the last time you took a deep breath? How about you try one now?
mm,
So it's
mhm,
always centered in bringing people back to themselves, and it's been well received, and I'm so glad because I thought even during my certification that I think I might be taking this in a direction that, mindfulness doesn't wanna go in because they don't mindfulness isn't the practice of, like, thinking and, you know,
mhm,
thinking about how you feel. It's literally about what do I feel in this present moment and what's here. So when
mhm,
my practice says, okay, now turn inward and how what are you feeling in your body, is not usually the practice, but it's coming along. It's coming along to recognizing that while we can be in the present moment, we can also use this as an opportunity to connect with ourselves and nurture ourselves.
absolutely. I love that. And so how did you end up taking leadership at your job and kind of leading that for your coworkers and things of that sort?
Yes, yes, I've been a mindfulness ERN leader for over a year now. I've been leading weekly guided mindfulness practice for the
Amazing.
regional employees every Wednesday. It's been amazing to bring mindfulness into work and something that I'm passionate about, and to see it help individuals, especially in my line of work. Usually, I'm sitting in the middle of an exam and everybody's so stressed out, and I'm like, would anybody like to practice mindfulness with me today? I'm always the girl like, "Wednesday, 12 o'clock, come on over."
I love that. That's amazing. And so, so now you're juggling both. You're still full
Yeah.
time in your career, but you also have this passion that you've now taken the time to get certified in and just also impact so many lives, which is beautiful. All from personal experience and of course the education piece afterwards. But I would say ignited by your own personal trials and tribulations of I am burnt out, this is too much, I need something to come back to self, and you fell upon this. So are you are you bringing this out to other individuals now outside of the workforce?
Yes, yes, I actually I want to say September. I just actually launched virtual meditation sessions for the public. So I host a couple of virtual meditations as well as guided self-reflection. So for those who are like, I'm not ready for the meditation piece, but I do want to reflect on myself. And then I
Mm,
also hold in-person meditations today in Tempe, Arizona. And we do like a sip and journal. So also a thing that
mm,
I've noticed and sort of expanded upon is mindful moments. Like, I think, like myself, going into MBSR, I thought mindfulness was only practiced through meditation. And what
mm,
I was able to learn was so many informal practices. And that's mainly what I'm teaching now, especially to busy moms of what are those times, where your mind settles and in those thoughts and ideas start to blossom. For me, it's folding clothes. And for another
mhm.
person, they're like, yeah, every hour between 2 to 3 p.m. on my couch, before I go pick up the kids, like for some reason, like this is my time, my moment. I'm like, that's your mindful moment. So helping, moms like
Mm.
us find your mindful moment. There are people who are like, meditation just isn't for me. I can't sit still. I can't do it.
Yes,
And two,
yes.
some of it is rooted in that what are you trying to force out of this? Like, are you trying to get yourself
What's
to
the
practice
expectation?
perfectly? Or trying to
Mm-hmm.
lotus pose? Like, it's not about lotus
Mm-hmm.
poses. You could do it while you're walking, and you could do it
Yeah.
in 5 minutes versus in an hour. It was that type of flexibility that I feel a lot of people don't know about mindfulness. So I've
Yes.
been using the brand and different experiences, trying to introduce people to this is a mindful moment. This is an informal mindfulness practice you may not have known, but if it's an opportunity for you to quiet your mind and allow yourself to
Mm-hmm.
be, that is mindfulness.
I love that. Yes, especially this is good for everyone. And of course, my heart goes out to moms because we're so busy with the day-to-day, nuances and everything that happens, especially working moms. And yeah, it doesn't, cooking is a great outlet. Of course, working out, journaling, the thought of, especially me going from personally going from a traditional psychotherapist in the mental health space to now being a coach that introduces more concepts of mindfulness through a lens of what we've been speaking about. There's a lot of individuals who are like, yeah, I just can't sit still. And that's okay. That's okay. And baby steps, if they want to go that route. But yes, there are plenty of opportunities on walking meditation. You don't have to sit still. And if you are a busy bee or someone that has to stay active, you can do many things. It's just the act of being present, like you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a wonderful journey to me as well, like just in my own personal journey of healing. Because I mean, I'm not done. Like, and that's another
None of
thing that
us
I
are.
learned too, is like sometimes we think, oh, well, I finished that self-help book. I feel 5% better. I
Mm-hmm.
must be all healed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like once you've been through burnout, and especially if you're an individual like high performer, you're ambitious, it can skew, I think, like you said earlier, toxic. Sometimes the toxic work environment is actually created by yourself because your ambitions are not accounting for
Yes.
your well-being.
Yeah.
And so very much in the entrepreneur space, that's been like my journey this year is like, okay, while I love regarding you and I want to grow it and I want the whole world to know about it, I also have a full-time job. I also have a 5-year-old. I have
Yes.
relationships I need
Yes.
to manage. And so I'm viewing life now as blocks. Like these are blocks of things that I love and I need to be good in all of them. And when I say good, not great or perfect, but just I need to be an acceptable level in all of those areas in order to feel fulfilled. Because, I think, like the days that you're winning at work, you're failing as a mom, or you're winning as a mom, but you're failing at work. And I'm like, what is what is that balance for myself so I don't get into the stage of I'm overwhelmed, I'm not doing good in anything, and that can
Yeah.
certainly happen. That's where that bridge of re-burnout, like it can reoccur over and over again in your life if you don't have those tools. And that's where I wanted mindful care to be. I always say, like, we're the resource um, that you find when you're ready to make that change and really say, I'm ready to create space for myself in a way that I'm not only doing the things that I love and meeting all my responsibilities, but also caring for myself and making myself one of those responsibilities.
Mm, I love that. Um, my question to you is I mentor a lot of individuals who are thinking about entrepreneurship and still have a 9 to 5, and have children. And so the daunting thought of, I'm already doing a lot. How could I possibly do one thing more, like beginning a business or starting a business, or entertaining something else? What do you think has been a key role in that? And can you express what's been the key role? And like, yeah, now you have more responsibility. So how are you juggling all of that?
Look, here's the thing. Honestly, it's a lot. I find myself often, and you will find yourself often in your entrepreneur journey of, why am I doing this? Like, is the time that I'm putting
Mhm.
into this company time that I'm robbing from my child? Um, it's a constant question. One of the things that helped me was positive affirmations. Like, they helped me through my burnout. Like, I have multiple sets. There's one called Reclaim You. That's the one that I wrote during burnout that I used to reclaim myself and the love for myself. But I also have a set called Resilience. And I noticed like I had all of the fears, like starting this company, even thinking about it. I think I dreamed about it for 2 years before I actually like hit the button and was like, you know what? I'm registering that LLC. I can't keep dreaming about this thing. I think what it was dedicating the business part of it for myself. Like regarding you was my self care. Um, I think for
Mm,
me, at the time that I started this company, I didn't realize that I didn't like value myself or like put myself as a priority. And so I set up the company to value myself. There was something that I really wanted to do. I had a dream, I had a passion, and I had to honor that dream for myself. So that's one thing I would say is if this is something that you're dreaming about, something that you're passionate about, it's in your heart and on your mind, honor that. Like there's something
mhm.
there. You might have purpose to share with the world. And even though, yes, it is completely and utterly overwhelming some days, I am fulfilled by knowing that what I'm doing is helping other people. So
Yes.
that's one thing of being a purpose-driven brand is like, I think that drives
Mm,
you further and it helps you on those days where you're like, I'm tired. I don't know what I'm doing. I left the kids' lunch on the counter again. I'm devastated by it. Like,
mm,
it's the purpose-driven brand part of it. So, and I know that everybody's, entrepreneurial journey isn't purpose-driven or they might not be in a space of, I want to help people. What you might be in a space of is I want to express myself. I want to use these talents that
yes. Yeah.
that were given to me. So it's really honoring one, the dream that is in your heart, and then also giving grace. Like you are not going to be perfect. I was joking with someone last weekend about. I feel like when I started this, I was trying to run a Fortune 500 out of a corner of my living room. It's
Hmm.
not going to happen. Like there are things that are just not going to happen. So it's giving yourself grace, pacing
Yes.
yourself, and really building a plan that works for you and your family and all the roles that you hold. There is a way to dedicate maybe an hour or two a week to your dream versus trying to go 40/40, full-time job and a full-time entrepreneur. So
Yes.
it's pacing for me. And that's been a big lesson because I really jumped in. It was like, let's go. um,
Hmm.
I found myself reaching burnout by like June. I was like, I need a break. And also that was a big thing for me too, is taking my entrepreneurial journey and really setting a calendar. At our jobs, we have PTO. You need to have an on season, off season, a time to stop and reflect. Sometimes I made it around summer break with my daughter and winter breaks. Like I purposely carve out that time so that way I can always give the attention to her that she needs when she has those free moments so we can have the fun. but and not feel like I'm neglecting or I've like quit on myself in that process. So it really is a intentional balance, but also doing it gracefully, knowing that you can't go all in on all things. Like I said, the boxes, I literally created boxes that sit on my desk every day. And I say, today is a mama heavy day. Like yesterday was Halloween. So mom was at the top, work was on the
Yes.
bottom. And
Yes.
so there are other days where I shift. The day job has to be top. I'm working on a deliverable. The small business is on the bottom. And then Fridays, small business on top.
I love that. I think that's such good insight. And I would also like, so people can understand those that are thinking about doing this and maybe are just scared for so many valid reasons. Um, Even though you're juggling more, it's because for you this is a purpose filled passion project, if you may, a business that is really helping and impacting so many individuals. You're getting more energy from that. And I think, a side brand to this podcast is on the Instagram page, The Healthy High Performer, because yes, I do tend to attract highly ambitious individuals. And I think in my earlier years of even learning this about myself, you would do all the self care practices so that subconsciously you could do more. And I think, it's a learning lesson. We're always healing. And I think what we're really learning from this conversation is that when you take the time to fill up your cup, and whatever that means, if you're an artist and your business could be creating, whatever that may be for you, yes, are you now technically spreading your time more thinly? Yes, if you're already doing other things, but the motivation, the fulfillment, the insight, the energy that you get, it's like working out. For those that maybe haven't worked out before, and
Yes.
then you start doing it, it's like, okay, I got to wake up earlier to do this, but then you get more energy to then more effectively um, fulfill your other roles. And that is beautiful. And also your time blocking strategy of like what comes first. Like, yesterday was Halloween. That's a family, that's a mommy and me moment, right? It's like I gotta be present for my kiddos, all the things. And I love your strategy of PTO for the business. I think that is something that even I have had a hard time always doing. Like I work 4 days a week, so I always feel like I always have 3-day weekends. Like I have good balance, but within 4 days I get a lot done. And sometimes I need a whole week off. And this summer was actually the first time that I gave that to myself, and it was so hard. It was so hard. It was honestly so hard for me because this provides so much fulfillment. There was a lot of identity work. Again, the reminder of this is not all of who I am. It's a big part of who I am, but it's not everything to me. And you mentioned that earlier too, of the separation and the blocking and all of that stuff. Just you sound really balanced in your deciphering of what role to go into next. And we know it's not perfect, but it's nice to see from different perspectives that this is very much doable to have a 9 to 5, a small business, and be a mother.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it to me, like my small business, well, it started for me, like now it's something that I absolutely like. I love. It's a natural part of my life. So it becomes like just another thing on your list, right? That you care for and that you're taking care of. The benefit of it, like you said, like there's so much energy that comes from it. Like I interact with a lot of people every week, and I enjoy hearing their stories. I enjoy meeting them. I enjoy sharing our mindful care products, our practices with them, and honestly, like seeing that it's helping, like the mentions, like I was never like
It's
really social
working.
media person before this all, but the mentions, and I was like, I just love that. I love to see people using the products. I love to hear that they're helping individuals, and that just keeps motivating you to like, okay, I feel like I'm on the right path, because there is a lot of trepidation through the entrepreneurial journey. Like you're constantly doubting yourself, you're constantly questioning, you're looking for some. I never had my palm read. I really was like, can I get my palm read about the business guy? I don't know.
Yeah. some type of another affirmation, like, am I doing this right? Is this the right path? Is this crazy? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so true. So that's what led me to write the resilient set. Like every one of those thoughts, I just started taking them down. It was like, what am I worried about? Because that's the whole thing. You
Yes.
start to really balance, and that might be the first question for an individual, like thinking of starting a business. Figure out what it is that worries you most. Write it down, um, and then ask yourself, like, what would it take? Because I ask myself that all the time, especially through this year. What would it take for me to get over this fear? What would it take for me to take this next step? Right now, it's what would it take for me to turn my camera on? Like,
Mm-hmm.
instead of I can't do this or I'm scared of that, ask yourself, what would it take? And truly honest, that's a mindful moment in itself of just sitting and asking yourself, what am I afraid of? And what would it take for me to face that fear? Um, and you learn through those conversations, like they'll lead you a little bit closer to actually taking that first step because the first step is hard. The hundredth
Mm-hmm.
step is hard. That's how this journey is like you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's coming in front of you, and sometimes that's also in people's fear. They have no idea or they don't want to start because they think they might fail. I think we all know that small businesses have a high percentage of failure. The one thing we all as an entrepreneur can agree upon is our consistency. When we show up for that business every day, even if it's a half a step, um, we'll look back months from then and see how far we've actually come. And I know I truly have come far, and that's the reflection part of it, right? Is like we're asking ourselves, what are we afraid of? What would it take for us to get over it? But also acknowledging the journey. And it is, in fact, such a great journey. I think today I feel so proud of myself for actually doing it, even though, yes, there were sleepless nights. There were lunches left on the counter. There were all kinds of things that have occurred since I started this
Yeah.
business. But when I think about what I've learned and what I've gained through this time, it's become such a source of pride. And like you said, that energy, this is good energy. This is that self-love. I am capable. I'm woman, hear me roar. Like this is where it comes from.
Yes, yes. And the example of the lunchbox being left, so many people, mothers, parents will go through that and not juggling all the things. Like it's just a lot sometimes. And so I think about like people maybe outside of business who just want to start doing new things. It's like I was talking to somebody recently who every Friday she writes a letter to somebody in her family because she just wants to spend the time to do
Oh,
that. And it's like beautiful love notes, right? Of like how much I appreciate you, and she'll mail them out. And that is something extra that she is now putting on her plate, but it gives her so much gratitude, love, which is like, what are we living life for if we're not experiencing these emotions more often than not, right? And so, yeah, like I battle with the thought of like, are we doing more? It's like, no, we're fulfilling our cups. And for me, my journey within being a mother and a business owner kind of simultaneously has been that I think my business makes me a better mom.
yes.
um it requires a lot of reflection work, and um essentially everything I do is for my kids, right? Is so that I can spend more time with them and so that I can be more present with them and be a better version of myself. And it just so happens like, to me, business is like a never-ending self-help book where it's like you're always learning more about yourself, you're always digging deeper. And I also share an experience with you where I came from doing traditional psychotherapy, traditional counselor, like 40 hours a week, like 60 clients at a time, like just a lot, being overworked, definitely being burnt out. And then curating my own business where I was juggling both. And at one point, I found myself copycatting, just treating the business like I was being burnt out in my regular 9 to 5, and being like, oh my God, there it is again. And that actualization piece of, yes, some of this was brought upon because of the culture of the field that therapists come from. But a lot of it was also me feeling the pressure to have to say yes to everything, to working the long hours, to doing the most for my clients, to extending my work hours because they had work and they could only come at X time. And it's like, well, they need my help. Like, the overextending. And it was like, yes, there's a lot to learn here. And there was a point in my business where I think I was pregnant with my firstborn son, and I was experiencing prenatal depression. and
Mm,
slew of things, right? Like it could have been so many different factors, but in my journey of becoming a business owner, I've definitely tapped into more of the soulfulness of psychological practices and things of that sort. And of course, mindfulness is one of them. And, it taught me that if I want things to be different, then I have to change. And, I love this saying, no matter where you go, there you are. And it's like, yeah, at that point I did leave the 9 to 5 world and I was doing my business full time like I am now. And it's like, what did I leave the 9 to 5 world if I feel the same way internally? I feel burnt out, I feel
yes,
crappy. And it was just like, yes, I'm helping so many people. And it's so cool that this is like something that I own, that I created, that is now impacting, like you were saying, like the ads and the ventures. It feels really good, but not at the cost of my own expense. Right. And so just a
yes.
learning lesson. That was like year one of business for me. And it was just like, I have to change this. And it wasn't anything external. It's all, as you know, internal. Right. And so making sure I had a business that was more fluid for me. And it's not perfect, but with every lesson or setback that we experience or hardship that we experience, it's like, okay, lesson learned. What can I do better this time?
Yeah, no, and that's what it is. It's like that, you're taking the properties of like corporate life. We talk about Lean Six Sigma and continuous improvement. Like I've started to view my life that way. It's not always going to be together every day, and especially as a business owner, and I'm juggling it all. It's all about continuous improvement, and I think even in my corporate world or my small business, like I'm always like, we're just looking for 2% better, like 2%, like that's it. I was like, if we
Mm.
get our 2%, then we're moving in the right direction. And yes, sometimes we're even going to digress and like go backwards. Uh, I had a whole
Mhm.
journey with like Amazon, and I was like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? And learning something completely new and being okay with the fact that I don't know it. Like, because when we come from that day job, like by that time, we're usually like an expert in our field, right? I'm a subject
Yeah.
matter expertise. People come to me and ask me for advice. That can be a point of like fear too, of going into entrepreneurial world. You don't know anything and being okay with the fact that you don't know. Like, that took me some steps, and that can send people down the wrong path sometimes. Of like, I'm chasing, I'm looking to know. Somebody in Instagram posted something, and they said they know a secret. I'm going to sign up. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
that can lead people down um, very strange paths that might not serve them, right? But one of the things that I've learned to be okay with is whatever I don't know, I will learn. And like you just said about the whole like change, that was actually the thing that was on my mirror while I was starting my company. And I actually put it in our affirmation box. It's a saying that I would say to myself, life is about change. Life is about choices, make better ones. And so it's in all of our boxes, and everybody's like, I love that. I was like, that lived on my mirror. And so and actually, no, it's still there in marker on my mirror. And I think about if I hadn't taken this step to start this company, it would still just live only on my mirror. Like, that's why I'm like, that's why I did this. I had to do this. Sorry, I have a 5-year-old who's here.
That's
One
okay. This
second.
is motherhood and business. Absolutely.
Good morning. Mom is on a call. Can you go sit on the
Oh,
couch for a bit and I come see you? Okay. I see you soon. Sorry.
oh, no, this is
Sometimes we wake up
beautifully
early.
fitting. This is balancing motherhood and business. Yeah, we love this. Okay, girly. We've learned so much from you. I've absolutely loved this conversation. What is something currently that's happening in your any sector, relationship, personal, work, business, motherhood that you've been having maybe a harder time with or currently processing that you would like to maybe air out at this time? And if I can provide guidance, of course I will, or just simply hold space for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think for me, the thing that I've been struggling with this year is expectations. And we always talk about unrealistic expectations, realistic expectations. When I came into the business, one of the first like events that I attended was one in particular for Black women entrepreneurs. And statistics, right? I feel like statistics has been my enemy my whole life, right? Of me
Mm,
trying to prove like, no, I don't fit into this box. I'm not
yeah.
predetermined or predestined to fail. It's all based on the work that I actually do. I, as a high performer individual, I set these expectations for myself. I'm reaching the end of the year. I'm not going to make it, right? I'm not going to meet that expectation that I
Mm,
set for myself. And I'm learning how to be okay with it. But it is like a struggle for me of like,
mm,
oh, I didn't hit that goal. So I'm trying to reframe and say, well, what did I accomplish this year? Because I accomplished a lot. It's my first year. Why would I set high setting goals for a company that didn't exist, and a person who doesn't know how to do social media, uh, and think like, "Yep, I'm gonna hit all those key metrics in my first year, and it's gonna be the greatest story ever." So like part of it is making me feel like, "Oh well, I didn't reach my goal, so I wasn't successful," and trying to detach my worth to this goal that I set that honestly, all statistics said I wouldn't make it. Right? But I'm like, I must battle the statistics, right? So that's my struggle right now is like approaching year end, looking and like, I'm not going to hit that thing that I thought that I was going to hit. And I kind of feel like I failed at it, you know?
Thank you for sharing. That's it's so real and so relatable. I think what I'd like to use an analogy of children. For me, children are the best teachers. And as mothers, I feel like we have such great insight because we are raising children and we do see all the differences in that era. What I'm trying to say is before having kids, I used to always use child psychology as my main metaphor for helping clients overcome their hardships, et cetera, et cetera. And now becoming a mother and also helping more mothers in this arena, especially between motherhood and business, there's just so much overlap. So I want to bring this reference in of expectations. So with children, me and my husband talk about it all the time. We have a 2 and a 3-year-old, so we're like in the thick of it, as people like to say. Like they're little, it's a lot, they're very attention demanding, all the things. And um, the main times that I get upset with them is only because when my ego has expectations, right? Of like, how old are they? Do they really know how to do X, Y, and Z of what I'm expecting of them? Even my son and daughter are only 15 months apart. And so my son is only 3, but I view him as so much older because he's the big brother, right? And so there are a lot of times where I have to check myself and I'm like, he's just 3, Julia said, like he doesn't know all these things. And so it's the reminder, the age, right? Because you're saying like this is your first year you're saying in business? Yeah. Yeah, it's like just like what is how old is your other baby that is your business, right? I use the metaphor often of like this first year, like if you were a breastfeeding mom or nursing or even bottle feeding, whatever, it's like you're sleep deprived, right? Your energy, your business only exists because of your energy, right? Now my business is 5 years, almost 5 now. And I'll often talk about like, oh my God, they're finally walking, they're finally playing on their own, just like a child would. And that took time. So it's great to have goals. And it's also like, was this not that I don't want to say it was realistic because hey, let's reach for the stars, right? Like always. But when we're reflecting, I do have a list of goals in my business that me and my team review every quarter. Um, but then I also make sure that we review and record our wins every single month and quarter to see like, okay, so we didn't hit this thing, but you know what we did do it in aside from that, we did X, Y, and Z. And it's really nice to see how much you've accomplished. And just by talking to you, it seems like you've accomplished a lot in your first year. And so
Thank you. That's so awesome. I appreciate that feedback and that like perspective. I love it. This is a baby. It's 1 years old.
you're
Like
nursing
it's
it,
accomplished the
literally.
goals, the milestones of a 1 year old.
Yes, yes, literally, right? And just like in the beginning of motherhood, where you think it's never going to get better, it's like it gets so much better. It gets so much more complicated, but it gets so much better, And yeah, to me, like that's business, and so I'm proud of you. I know we just met, but I think you're doing amazing. And yeah, just a reminder, just to be a little bit easier on yourself and have be clear of like where the expectations that I put while we want to reach for the stars. My baby, the business of this baby is just 1 year old.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And I like the perspective of like looking at the wins because like that stack is high, right? I was like, revenue might be low, but that one those these wins are, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of things. So yeah, I think that's been a very important part of the journey too, is the reflection, looking back. I think a lot of times we focus on the things in front of us, the things we don't know, the big tasks. Like right now, I'm trying to figure out how to live stream on like multi platforms, right? I'm trying to
Platforms.
figure it out. And I was like, I don't know how to do any of this. I was like, but I was like, 2 years
I've
ago,
heard
I didn't even
StreamYard
know
is
how to make a
great.
reel, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, we love it. We're always learning and growing. So this has been a beautiful conversation. Thank you so, so much for being a part of it, for sharing all of your skills and expertise. And how can people find your beautiful work should they want to tap into this?
I feel I see like a little like ghost in the background. Yes, people can find me online. Our website is www.regardingyou1.com. That's where our weekly blogs and our shop is. On social media, we are at Regarding You with the number one at the end on Facebook, uh, Instagram, as well as TikTok. So thank
Beautiful.
you. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much for the time today. This has been such a lovely conversation. And Lexi,
All good. Part of motherhood and business. If for those that are not seeing, her daughter is right behind her because she's waiting for her mommy.
yeah,
All
and now my sitter. Lots of people came in this morning.
all good, all a part of the reality of the lives that we live. And so yes, it was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much. And yeah, this is just a bye for now. Thank you for joining me today on Mindset Mastery Podcast. I hope today's conversation inspired you to embrace your own journey of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship. Remember, it's all about mastering your mindset to create a life of success and fulfillment in both areas. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more incredible moms just like you. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and mastering your mindset.